a guy by Gotch.
Mm-hmm.
So there's only a few of those guys around, but they could hurt you bad, boy.
Oh my God. Yeah. The catch wrestling was a particularly brutal style of grappling
in England.
Yeah,
it was really tough.
Because they started out with real submission moves.
Yeah.
I mean, it was wrestling, but it was also real submission moves. And those guys physically there were such fucking specimens. You know who Farmer Burns was? Mm-mm. Farmer Burns was a legendary catch wrestler, and one of his stunts that he used to do, he would do a dead man's hang. He would drop from a hang rope, and his neck was so fucking thick from neck bridges that he could literally hang there with a fucking noose around his neck and support his weight. There's photos of it. Wow. See if you can find Farmer Burns. He was famous for doing this, but he was just a fucking tank of a man who would go to these carnivals and he would engage in pro wrestling things. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at him, bro. He's literally hanging by his fucking neck.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, how insane. I mean, these are different fucking human beings. Yeah. This is a different time of the world. I mean, even look at the way they're built. They're just strong. There's not bodybuilder muscles. These guys are just animals. That was Farmer Burns.
Wow.
And so he has a bunch of instructionals, like images and stuff that you could see that are real moves that people still use in MMA today. Like a lot of that catch, and Josh Barnett was the best at that. He was probably the very best at transitioning catch wrestling and using it not just in submission matches. Like he submitted Huron Gracie, he submitted Dean Lister, he submitted some legit guys with catch wrestling moves in like grappling tournaments and in MMA. And he's from that same old school though. Learned all that stuff from guys like Billy Robinson. Learned all those strength and conditioning moves. Did all the mace work and shit. Like those guys all use steel maces for conditioning. All that stuff that you're seeing today, like that On It does, all that functional strength does. Those guys were way ahead.
Yeah,
way ahead. They were doing that way back then. They were some of the best fucking conditioned athletes ever.
Yeah.
And that's where it all started out. It all started out with like legit wrestling.
Yeah. And
then it became pro wrestling. When they realized, like, look, we're doing all these we can't actual fight every night, so it became this thing.
Thank God.
Thank God.
That's how guys like me came along.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't mind doing the hour, but I didn't want to fight overnight about it.
Do they ever bring you in to talk to young wrestlers, like to give them?
They just did.
Yeah. What is that like?
It's fun, they had me come to an interview class for NXT while they were in L.A. I'm sorry, they had me come into a interview class. Now they're on this program where they're hiring or bringing nothing but college athletes, D1 college athletes into the training center. So when they're in LA, they've brought in, I want to say 50 or maybe even 100. I think it was 50 college athletes all over the country. And then we went to UCLA, and they had them do endurance training. Then they had them come to a seminar where I talked about how to learn how to interview, which is really hard to explain because it's got to come from here. It's got to come from here.
Yeah.
And it's the biggest problem is really if they got 100 people, let's say at NXT right now, out of that 100 people, 1% might make it. I was trying to figure out today I'm with a friend of mine who used to work there. In the last 5 years, of all the kids over there, right? Rhea Ripley, Austin Theory. That's in the last 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now think about that. And prior to that, it's been 10 years since Ashley went there. The biggest group they had to come out one time, which revolutionized the women's division, was when Sasha, Charlotte, my daughter, Bailey, and Becky Lynch came up. Yeah. Then the whole thing started to change around.
Oh, totally.
And then
his daughter literally changed it. It used to be called the Divas Champ. It was like all overly. It was like bad. Yeah. There was no respect towards women whatsoever. Yeah. And to their credit, they basically did that. That's almost not even a Vince thing.
Then Ronda came.
Yeah.
which gave it a big shot. But
Yeah.
the only one that wasn't afraid of Ronda was my daughter.
Right.
Then my daughter Ronda would tear it down.
Oh
Ashley's
my
not-
God! Literally the best women's wrestling matches ever. Because
Ashley's not afraid of her. So the key thing with Ronda, because Ronda was ragdolling
Yeah.
with the judo, right?
Yeah.
And those girls weren't used
and
to that.
us wrestling, the people that knew both are like, this might not go good for Ronda. But meanwhile, because of the judo, she was such a natural wrestler.
Oh,
so
God,
she
she
was
was great.
putting on a fucking multi-million-dollar show
No,
all the time.
I love Ronda. She's
Yeah.
great,
She's so great at promo too. She's
yes,
so great at
yeah.
playing a badass.
Yeah, but
Because you think she's not gonna be. It's almost like a misdirect. It's like when we've had with some comedians that might be a little bit crazy, and we're like, let's go watch their set and see
Yeah.
how it goes. And they're like, they're
Yeah, no,
dialed in
Ronda's
geniuses. You
great.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
that
It's
thing
like
they
that.
did at WrestleMania where she came out of the crowd with The Rock, and she was throwing Stephanie around and then Hunter. I mean, she's phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
But as far as the girl matches, my daughter was the only one who's not afraid of her.
She's
They-
the most
they-
successful
they-
to ever go over from MMA other than Brock started at pro
Yeah.
wrestling, but she's
Yeah.
the most successful,
Well,
right?
by
The
far,
transition
yeah.
by far.
Yeah, Brock number one, her number two.
And for good reason, both of them. It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, they really made that entertaining or they learned that one little trick.
it was-
It's they were ready. Those are
Yeah.
pure athletes. That's what you need to be. That's
Yeah.
how you need to.
And they earned their keep. I mean, they were, I think sometimes the talent gets jealous of people just come in and out and all that. Well, Ron and Brock have paid the price. I mean, what are you going to say?
Yeah, you can't say shit.
It's Ronda Rousey, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Okay, it was Brock Lesnar.